Want to get smarter while you lay on the beach this summer? Try Crossing the Chasm by Geoffrey Moore. Hi, I'm Chuck Murphy, president of Murphy Research. And today we wanted to talk to you about the latest book we read, which is Crossing the Chasm by Geoffrey Moore. This is actually an older book. I believe it was written in 1991. And it's a book that is commonly referenced among marketers. You'll hear it discussed in a number of contexts. And although you may not be familiar with the book, you'll certainly have heard some of the terms that he proposed in his framework, the most popular of which is early adopters, which we use that term all the time now. So Crossing the Chasm was written to describe high-tech marketing, and he focuses a lot on B2B buyers. And you know, he wrote this in the 90s when B2B buying was really big, complicated products like mainframe computers or enterprise reporting systems. But the framework that he proposed has become very mainstream, and I wanted to go back and read the book for me for the first time just to understand how he explained things. It's actually a really interesting book. It's very detailed. He provides a lot of strategic guidance in terms of how to reach different types of buyers. And the key thesis of the book is that there are 5 types of buyers out there. You've undoubtedly heard these terms. The innovators and the early adopters are what he calls the early market, the people that love technology. They want to be on the leading edge. They're very tech forward. They enjoy tinkering with things, making them work. They're not turned off by early products or problems associated with early products. And then he's got the early and late majority, which is sort of the mainstream of the market and comprises, you know, something like 60% of the people. And then at the end of the spectrum, we've got the laggards, people that avoid technology for as long as possible and want to stick with what works, don't want to try anything new, and don't want to have the problems associated with new products. And he focuses a lot in this book on what he calls the chasm, and that is the difference between the innovators and the early adopters and the mass market behind them. So he calls it the early market and the late market. And in between those two is a valley that's very hard for most companies or products to ever cross. And the reason for that is products are often developed by technologists for technologists, and very few products ever achieve what he calls the whole product stage. And by whole product, he means there's whole support communities, everybody knows how to use it. You know, if you think about something like Microsoft Office, where there's thousands of books and websites and YouTube videos on any sort of problem you might encounter, it's a very robust whole product that very few people are going to have a problem using, and that's a huge benefit to someone, as opposed to a newer product which may not have the support options or the consultants or all the different things associated with it. And so what he outlines in this book is a strategy for getting your product or brand across that chasm and into a mainstream market. And he said a lot of the issues that companies, and again, he's very focused on technology, but a lot of the issues that these companies encounter is they have some initial success with the innovators and the early adopters, and they see it as a sign of their products about to become huge and mainstream. So they hire a lot of salespeople and they ramp up the infrastructure around that, but then they never are able to cross over into the mainstream. And so this book really addresses that issue and includes a number of strategies for how to make sure that you don't get stuck in that chasm the way many brands have in the past. It's a little bit of a thick, dense read. It's definitely a marketing tome for those of you that want to feel like you're back in business school again while you lay on the beach. But it's also really engaging, and it does not feel 25 years old at all. I mean, it's really interesting and a great read, so I'd highly recommend it. If you have any feedback on Crossing the Chasm or any other books you'd recommend, please let me know. You can reach us on social or through email. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks.